Did you know that there were Dodges in the 1950s so luxurious, powerful, and beautiful that today they're true forgotten legends? In this video, we're going to rediscover 5 classic gems that mark Dodge's history. Cars with sharp tail fins, powerful V8 engines, and a design that defined the golden age of the American automobile. And if you're the kind of person who gets chills when seeing a well-preserved classic, then this video is for you. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel if you love vintage cars, American classics, and models that defined an era, and hit that like button if you've ever dreamed of having one of these in your garage. Because what you're about to see will take you back in time. 1955 to 56, Dodge LaFemme. Have you ever heard of a car designed specifically for women back in 1955? If not, get ready. Because the LaFemme wasn't just a rarity, it was a revolution silenced by time. An ambitious yet misunderstood project that today, decades later, is re-emerging as one of the most intriguing gems in automotive history. Picture this: mid-1950s America. The post-war boom had transformed the economy. Families were growing, suburbs expanding, and for the first time in history, women were becoming more active as consumers, and yes, also as drivers. In that context, Dodge dared to try something bold. They didn't just want to sell cars to women. They wanted to build a car specifically for them. And so, the Dodge LaFemme was born. Visually, the LaFemme was unmistakable. Its body, dressed in a soft pastel pink paired with pearl white, sparkled like a high-fashion gown on a mid-century runway. But what truly made it unique was the level of detail. The interior was upholstered in pink fabric embroidered with gold threads. And most surprising of all, it came with a set of accessories designed to match the feminine lifestyle of the era. A matching pink handbag, a makeup kit, coin purse, card holder, lighter, even a parasol. All neatly stored in built-in compartments behind the passenger seat. Over-the-top marketing? Maybe. But visionary? Absolutely. And even though it focused on refinement and comfort, the LaFemme wasn't just about looks. Under the hood, it shared the mechanical setup of the Dodge Custom Royal, including the 270 cubic inch Super Red Ram V8 engine, delivering up to 183 horsepower with a 2-barrel carburetor. This setup allowed for smooth, powerful acceleration, more than enough for a high-end sedan of the era. Strangely, despite all that effort, the LaFemme was a commercial failure. Very few units were ever made. It's estimated only around 2,500 in 1955, and even fewer the following year. Why? Some say the idea was just too ahead of its time. Others believe it was the result of a patronizing approach toward women, who weren't necessarily looking for a pink car with cosmetics, but rather for respect in the industry. Yet today, the Dodge LaFemme has become a highly coveted collector's item. Its rarity makes it desirable. But more than that, its story gives it significance. It's a symbol of a time that was trying to change, exploring new paths, even if not always successfully. One of the most fascinating anecdotes about the LaFemme is that for many years, it was forgotten. Even by Dodge's own official records, it didn't appear in historical catalogs or model retrospectives. It was as if it had been deliberately erased. Only with the rise of car collecting and the growing demand for historical and female representation in design did this car begin to reclaim its place. And what a well-deserved place it is. 1957 Dodge Sierra Wagon. A station wagon might not turn many heads today, but if this were 1957 and a gleaming Sierra Wagon cruised past you, with its chrome body and sleek silhouette gliding down the highway, trust me, you wouldn't be able to look away. This wasn't just any family car. It was a rolling symbol of a new American way of life, a moving altar to comfort, elegance, and the promise of freedom on 4 wheels. The 1950s marked the rise of big families, road trips, motels with swimming pools, and fold-out maps on the front passenger seat. The Sierra Wagon was Dodge's direct answer to all of that, But not just a cold, practical one. No, it was a creation that blended space, style, and sophistication, as if Dodge wanted to prove that a family car could be just as desirable as a sporty coupe. The 1957 model was, without a doubt, the most impressive of them all, with its wraparound panoramic windshield, chrome detailing everywhere, and a sharp design inspired by Virgil Exner's forward look line. The Sierra looked like it was moving even when standing still. It could seat up to 9 passengers, thanks to its third-row bench, foldable and rear-facing. A practical solution that fascinated kids at the time and made room for the whole family, and then some. But what really brought this family beast to life was under the hood. The 1957 Sierra Wagon came standard with a 318 cubic inch V8, but many buyers opted for the more powerful 350 cubic inch Super Red Ram V8, which delivered up to 295 horsepower. That was an impressive figure for a station wagon, making it one of the fastest and most capable wagons of its era. Paired with the 3-speed Torque Flight automatic transmission, it offered a ride that was smooth but commanding. This wasn't just a car to take the kids to school. It was a machine built to devour highway miles with dignity and silence. Inside, it didn't disappoint either. Elegant upholstery, brushed metal accents, a dual-ring steering wheel, and a dashboard that looked straight out of a spaceship. There was plenty of room for suitcases, blankets, coolers, and, of course, for the dreams of an America that truly believed in progress, family, and the open road. Interestingly, despite its visual impact, the Sierra Wagon always lived somewhat in the shadow of Dodge's flashier creations. It was like a refined lady at a rock and roll party. Maybe that's why, over time, it slipped into a kind of obscurity. But those who lived it, who traveled hundreds of miles in its back seats, watching the world roll by through the windows, remember it with a mix of nostalgia and gratitude. And now I want to hear from you. Have you ever taken a trip in a car like this? Do you have a memory tied to a 1950s or 1960s station wagon? Share it in the comments. Sometimes a single memory can make another viewer smile too. 1956, Dodge D500. While many drivers were still content with calm, comfortable, and predictable cars, Dodge decided to launch something no one saw coming, a sedan with a racer's soul. And so, the D500 was born, a car that looked ordinary on the outside, but hid a fierce ambition under the hood. It wasn't just fast, it was a statement. And although today it's remembered with admiration by enthusiasts, at the time, this model was as unexpected as it was powerful. What's fascinating about the D500 is that it wasn't born in a marketing meeting. It came from the racetrack. Dodge wanted to compete in stock car racing, especially NASCAR. But to do that, they had to homologate a model that could be sold to the public. So they took their custom Royal sedan, reinforced it in every possible way, and unleashed it onto the streets. The result was a beast in a tuxedo, one of the early and often overlooked steps toward what would later become the muscle car era. So what made it so special? Let's start with its heart. The D500 came equipped with a 315 cubic inch Hemi 5.8 engine, nicknamed the Super Red Ram. It produced 260 horsepower, an impressive figure for the time, especially in a car that still looked like a refined sedan. But the power didn't come alone. The suspension was upgraded for better cornering, and the brakes, still drum style, were larger and more effective. This car could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 9 seconds, which was seriously fast in 1956, and it did it without any flashy gimmicks. No racing stripes, no oversized spoilers. At first glance, it looked like any other Dodge, but the moment you pressed the gas pedal, everything changed. The roar of the HEMI filled the cabin, your body sank into the seat, and suddenly the road felt way too short. Visually, the D500 didn't try to impress with showy tricks. Its lines were clean, elegant, with the forward-look design language just starting to take shape. Still, a few subtle details hinted at its true nature. Small D500 badges, special wheels, and in some cases, a two-tone paint scheme that gave it a more aggressive edge. Only those in the know understood what this car was truly capable of. Today, finding an authentic D500 is no easy task. Many were modified, others destroyed on the track, and some simply lost to time. The ones that survive are considered true gems of American automotive history, and rightfully so. They represent an era when performance began to matter just as much as luxury. When manufacturers dared to combine raw power with subtle elegance, when the roar of an engine could say more than any advertising slogan. In many ways, the D500 was a quiet pioneer, a muscle car before the world even knew what that was. And while it may not have the fame of the Charger or Challenger that came later, its legacy lives on in every high-performance car that blends brute strength with refinement. 1959, Dodge Custom Royal Lancer. Some cars go down in history for their innovation, others for their speed, but a rare few, a very rare few, earn their place simply by being unforgettable. The 1959 Dodge Custom Royal Lancer wasn't just the brand's flagship that year. It was Dodge's battle cry in the war for American luxury. A car that didn't just carry passengers, but also turned heads, carried dreams, and embodied ambition. By the late 1950s, American car makers were locked in a kind of design arms race. Bigger, shinier, longer, sharper. The more, the better. And in that context, the Custom Royal Lancer didn't just compete, it dominated. This was a car that refused to go unnoticed. From every angle, its presence was commanding. The tail fins, sharp as chrome blades, looked ready to slice through the air with elegance. The dual headlights up front, set into a bold, extravagant grille, projected total confidence. This was a Dodge that didn't ask permission to impress. But it wasn't just about looks. The Royal Lancer had serious power under the hood. In its top configuration, it came with the 361 cubic inch Ramfire V8, paired with a 4-barrel carburetor, producing up to 305 horsepower. Inside, it told a whole different story, one of luxury and futuristic flair. It felt like stepping into an aviation-inspired lounge, two-tone steering wheel, metallic trim, vinyl and fabric upholstery with geometric patterns, and even gold accents in certain versions. The Royal Lancer was designed so that every drive, no matter how short, felt like a special occasion. It wasn't just a way to get from point A to point B. It was a rolling salon. One of the most charming details about this model was Dodge's swept two-tone paint option, a dramatic color split that started at the rear wheels and swept upward toward the windshield. Combined with the generous chrome trim, it made the car feel more like a piece of design than a conventional vehicle. No wonder many period advertisements featured it next to models in evening gowns or in front of opera houses and movie theaters. It was the crown jewel. The Custom Royal Lancer was, without exaggeration, the ultimate expression of what Dodge could achieve when it held nothing back. It was built for those who craved presence, distinction, and power. That's why today it's highly prized by collectors who understand that cars from this era weren't just machines. They were cultural statements, living sculptures from a time of boundless ambition. And now I want to hear from you. Have you ever seen a car that made you stop just to admire it? Did you live through the era when cars were true rolling works of art? Share your strongest memory of a luxury car from the 1950s in the comments below. 1957, Dodge Coronet Lancer. In 1957, Dodge didn't just need a good car, it needed a car that connected with the heart of the American family, one that struck the perfect balance between style, reliability, and that something special that turns a vehicle into part of our collective memory. That car was the Coronet Lancer. It wasn't just one of the brand's best-selling models of the decade. For many, it was the first Dodge they remembered with true emotion, the one that became part of their lives. There was something magnetic about the '57 Coronet Lancer. It was the kind of car kids sketched in their notebooks, that dads dreamed of parking in the driveway, and that magazines proudly showcased as the bold new face of a more ambitious, stylish Dodge, one ready to compete seriously in the mass market arena. That generation of the Coronet was one of the first to fully embrace the forward-look design language from visionary stylist Virgil Exner. This philosophy broke away from the boxy, conservative lines of the past and introduced a more fluid aesthetic, inspired by jets, rockets, and the space-age optimism of the 1950s. The tail fins were tall, sculpted like wings. The front grille was wide and low, giving the car an aggressive yet refined stance. And the name Lancer, stamped on the side, spoke of elegance with a sporty edge. Part of its appeal came from its versatility. The Coronet Lancer was available as a sedan, a two-door coupe, and even a convertible, allowing every buyer to find a version that matched their lifestyle. And across all variants, the car carried that same carefree yet confident attitude that defined Dodge at its best. Under the hood, the Lancer didn't disappoint. It could be equipped with a range of V8 engines, from the 270 cubic inch up to the mighty 315 cubic inch Super Red Ram, delivering up to 245 horsepower. Paired with the Torque-of-Flight automatic transmission, the Coronet offered a driving experience that was smooth, responsive, and surprisingly quick for its class. It was a daily driver that didn't shy away from showing its teeth when pushed. One of the most charming things about the Coronet Lancer is that, despite being a sales success, it was never really seen as a car for showing off. It was, instead, a symbol of achievable aspiration. The car for the hard-working man who wanted style without overspending, for the young driver dreaming of crossing the country in something more exciting than a plain sedan, for the mother who needed space but appreciated good design too. The Coronet Lancer was all of that and more. Today, when you come across a well-preserved one, with its original two-tone paint, vinyl upholstery, and the Lancer badge still gleaming, you feel something visceral. It's not just admiration for an old car. It's a direct reflection of a time when cars were more than machines. They were identity statements, symbols of freedom, and part of the family. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 50s Dodges pulled at your heart the most? Was it the luxury of the custom Royal Lancer, the hidden power of the D500, or maybe you once rode in a Sierra Wagon and relived a cherished memory? Tell us your story in the comments. Don't keep it to yourself. This channel isn't just about cars. It's about memories, passion, and people like you. And if you're still hungry for more, you can't miss our special video on the most incredible Fords of the 1950s, models that revolutionized design, performance, and the American spirit. Click now and continue this journey through time with us. We'll see you there.